welcome to another episode of the Poker News podcast. This is episode number 488. I am Sarah Herring, joined by my co-host Brent Harrington, and we have got a badass show for you today. We have two peeps coming on as guests. We have Tony Burns coming on from the Seminole Hard Rock, who's a bossy tournament director. I always see him at the American Poker Awards. We also have Kevin Martin, who won Big Brother Canada. I think it was season 3 maybe, or I don't know. He was on 2 seasons of Big Brother Canada, and one of them he won, which is amazing. He's also a Twitch streamer. Just a super fun guy. If you guys are interested to know more about him, I did a little video series where he kind of talked about his life and growing up and how he got into streaming. So you can just search Kevin Martin on Poker News and then click video. In the meantime, Brent, we're just going to get right into it. First off, because I just want to bang some things out, let's talk about the Playground Poker Club, which you've been to before a zillion times. Well, they're welcoming back the Millions North America from April 21st to May 2nd, this time with a massive $15 million in guaranteed prize pool. Last year's Millions was voted the GPI's North American Event of the Year, and this year it's even bigger. In fact, it's going to be the largest event and series in Canadian history. There's 6 highlight events, but of course the main event is going to be the craziest and record-setting with a $10 million guarantee, which means that the top 3 places are going to make a minimum of over $1 million. So at a minimum, it'll be $1.4 million to first, $1.2 to second, and $1 million to third. But there's another $5 million in other guarantees in side events. This schedule looks super sick. There's going to be a ton of qualifiers, both live and online. They're running qualifiers at the Playground Poker Club right now. You can also qualify online, of course. And if you guys want some more info, you can check out www.playgroundpoker.ca. That's www.playgroundpoker.ca. And the website's brand new. They've got it all refreshed. It looks great. And they have all the details there.
I think they're having some... I feel like I saw on Twitter that there are some satellites at Borgata as well. There's satellites all over the place, not just at playgrounds. So they're doing them on the west coast of Canada. I believe they're doing some in the States. They're really pounding this pretty hard to get this guarantee. I think it'll be really interesting to see, A, if they get the guarantee, which I think they will, and then B, what the jump in prize pool is from 4th to 3rd with maintaining this million guaranteed to the top 3 places. So I'm sure it'll be a fun event to play, but I think it'll be a fun event for the rest of us to kind of look at and see, what comes of it.
What comes of it? Well, let's talk about one of the most interesting things to come out of the poker world in the last week is the Hpt and Westgate Scandal. Now, I've been checking out. Yeah, it's been all this fun stuff has been going down in the Slack channel, on Twitter. I think sort of for me, the most comprehensive thing was from Ben Yu, where he kind of just described what he had seen and what went down with him. I'm trying to, what do you think, Brent? What's the best way to sort of bring people in case they missed it? Should I just read what Ben tweeted first? What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, I think I read Ben's tweet, but I can't remember it off of the top of the head. But we're talking about, tournament with a big guarantee, this 10 million guarantee. So HPT has this tournament at Westgate with this big guarantee that they're going to miss. Like, they feel pretty confident very early on that they're going to miss. And so they start to, do some things differently. I know a few places in the past have done where they call it like an estimate. So they say, oh, it's going to be like $100K estimated guarantee, which isn't actually a guarantee. And they then have an out to not pay it. And I also think one of the important things that come out is that it's the casinos, like the room is making this decision. HPT sort of is handcuffed by whatever the room decides. So while it is an HPT event, and obviously this may affect them working with Westgate in the future, it wasn't their decision to do that. And then to change the guarantee, you'd be fishy about.
Before we start talking about all the intricacies, this is what we need to say to you guys. So basically what happened is they thought they weren't going to make their guarantee, so they offered a discounted main event buy-in for certain players, but not for everyone. But some people were allowed, apparently, to buy in. The buy-in was like $1,600 something, and they allowed some people to buy in for $800 something, which, in order to keep everything on the up and up, apparently they were going to have to pay for, the overlay of the extra half, but that was better than having to pay the overlay of the whole thing. I want to say that it was just alleged, but there's apparently videos where people are buying in for $825, and Ben Yu, I think, is a pretty well-respected player. I don't know why he would be lying. But, okay, so now that we've gotten into the nitty-gritty, then the question becomes, is this A, illegal? If it's not illegal, B, is it just immoral and sort of wrong? And then C, who is responsible, right?
Okay, so was the A, is it immoral? I don't think it's immoral. It's probably not best practices if you're trying to be, everyone, as we talk more and more about tournaments and organizers of tournaments, everything's about being player friendly and also extremely transparent. Some of the most popular tournaments, mid-major tournaments in the country, are HPTs. I know that their HPT Golden Gate is a very popular stop. It's a nice little place in the mountains and everything. So, it doesn't look good, but I don't think it's immoral, if that makes any sense. The guarantee thing is something I think people have been dealing with for a while. A lot of times on the tournament structures, you're going to see a thing that says the guarantee, it's at the discretion of the tournament director, the people who are putting this out. So apparently that it was a little thing that was denoted that the guarantee will not be offered if the tournament has less than 300 entries. So they were saying it right away, which still is not ideal. Poker players in general are kind of like value hunters, and overlays or potential overlays are always things that people keep an eye out for. So once it looked like they were going to miss this, then it drew even more attention. And I don't think it helped that now they're saying there is a tweet, I believe, from the Westgate that says they were offering half price buy-ins and they're fronting the other half, which again is not, I guess in a sense, if it's not affecting the prize pool, it's not the worst thing. But at the same time, you've got all these people who, had they known they could buy in for half price, would have, because they're value hunters. You're getting half the buy-in. So, I mean, the whole thing doesn't look great. I think. Well,
yeah, I mean, honestly, if you can't guarantee a guarantee, then don't make a guarantee, right? That's the whole...
Sure.
I understand, plenty, and even parties had to do this, plenty of sites and places have had to compensate for overlays, and I guess where it comes down to, and, okay, so I learned this a long time ago in my life, life is not fair. #life's not fair. Okay? And I believe that. And I don't necessarily think it's possible to make life fair. But it is specifically, I would say, unethical to, in an environment where I guess the idea is that we're supposedly all equally, we have an equal opportunity to win, we have an equal opportunity to play, everybody starts with the same amount of chips or whatever, of course you can get into the nitty gritty of this new thing where you can buy in on day 2, but that's a whole, let's just take that out. The idea is that it's an even playing field when we all start out. And so I think offering to some players 50% off, but not offering it to all players, because even in Ben's experience, he said, oh yeah, I noticed that they were doing this, and then I asked, can I buy in for that? And they said no, is a little oh, that's not fair.
Yeah, it's friggin' Ben Yu, too. So that he's going to have, a voice that people hear.
Yeah.
It's not like he's got 5 Twitter followers, right? Or he's not deeply connected in the poker tournament atmosphere. So, maybe that's a poor choice. If you're going to tell somebody they can't do it, maybe random guy,
yeah.
Sure. I've always been a proponent that if you're going to do something for someone, you should do it for everybody, regardless of whether it's Ben Yu, Chris Moneymaker, or, Scott from down the street, right? Because the people who are going to carry the Westgate poker room are, in the HPT going forward are the people that follow the tour around, right? Not the Ben Yus, who's not at every HPT. He's at the HPTs he wants to go to, but, Yeah. I don't know. You got to look after your peeps.
I also feel a little bit, and actually I would say I'm very much guilty of this a lot of the time. Basically, one of, I think some people were making the comment, and this is something that I did really agree with, is that sometimes you make a mistake, you make a bad decision. There's so many layers of who's in charge of 10 million things, and maybe just, somewhere along the line someone made a poor decision. But instead of being like, yeah, like in hindsight, we probably shouldn't have done that. That was just like, we were really stressing out about the guarantee or whatever it was. And just saying like, yeah, we were wrong. It was like, I think they went through a phase of just kind of being like, F you, like, we do what we want. We didn't do that. It was like they were lying a little bit about it in the beginning. I wanted to go back through, like, basically they said, the response was, so this was the response on their Twitter. End of registration for the HPT Poker main event. We choose to pay a portion of the entry fee for selected VIPs. Full $1,650 entry accounted for in the $500K main event that continues. Basically just saying, like, everything's being upheld, blah, blah, blah. But, like, instead of saying, yeah, that's it, maybe they could have said, okay, yeah, we paid for some people's things and maybe we shouldn't have done that. Sorry. I don't know if that actually makes a difference, but I do think maybe some accountability instead of some defensiveness tends to calm people down a little bit more. I'm terrible at it, so I get it. Like, if I know I'm wrong, I'm going to pretend like I'm right for as long as I can.
I think it's difficult. You expect people to trust you, and then if something happens and like you didn't do any of the, I don't think anybody stepped into this thinking like we're purposely going to like leave people out or screw people over. I think as I'm looking at the article, there's definitely confirmation that all the funds, so all, whether it was Westgate or the players putting the money in, that the $500K guarantee was honored and that everybody was in for the full $1,650. Now comes to debate whether or not, like, personally, I think if you can buy in for half price, that's a little bit unfair. But at the same time, there are tournaments that just hand out free tickets. I know there was a tournament series before where I was playing, playing some table game, and they gave this guy who was just betting tons and tons of money a ticket into the tournament. So, if the hotel or whatever wants to front the money, and they think that's a good investment for them, we don't know how much everyone pays. There's probably some people who didn't pay to get in that tournament. Like there are often situations where that happens, where buy-ins are fronted in order to get people to show up and put their face in that tournament field. So, I think it's just key that you have to be like open and honest from the beginning, because poker players are nothing if not diligent and very detailed, and they're gonna, while some of them aren't necessarily searching for problems, some of them are, but at the same time, the ones who see the problem aren't gonna let it go, and they're trying to make this space better, and the only way that you can do that is through complaining, or I say complaining, I don't mean to put a negative spin on it, but by identifying these things that you're not a fan of in the space. And, this is the same thing that happens with stars all the time. Oh, we're mad about the rake. If we don't say that we're mad about the rake, maybe you'll never know we're mad about the rake, right? So,
well, and you make a good point, because actually I have been bought into a poker tournament before by the company that was putting the tournament
wow.
on. So then I think, but I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't have bought in at all otherwise, and I am super fun when I'm super shwasted, so it's like kind of a donation for everyone else. But, yeah, I mean, I guess it's up to poker players to decide what they want and what they want their industry to look like and what they want their where they want to spend their money. I mean, I guess it's up to all of us all the time. I was just actually having an argument with someone about that in terms of film and all these things. It's like wherever you're going to spend your money, that's where you're putting your vote. So, and I like the HPT a lot. So or at least I like the idea of the HPT. I love the idea of like a poker tour in America, in the heartland
poker tour. Yeah, no, they're definitely a good bunch of guys over there. I know Jeremy, the tournament director there, is probably one of the, even though we don't hear his name all the time, like the Matt Savages or the Sean McCormicks or the Tony Burns, but Jeremy's a pretty well-respected tournament director, and the people who do the HPTs really love him. And I think that's important. That's one of the things that he tweeted out, that it had nothing to do with him. It wasn't his decision. But this is where the contracts come in of where you're going to host your tournaments. You're putting that HPT stamp on there. It's inevitable that people are going to connect the two, however unfortunate that may be in a situation where you're powerless. I think the same thing happened with Poker Night Guarantee when they had a tournament somewhere. The casino stepped in, started doing things that the Poker Night, stamp didn't really want. And, that's just a ongoing battle, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking, though, of amazing tournament directors, we are about to get one on the show. We have Tony. Let me just get all the way down. We're going to be joined by Tony Burns, who is of the Seminole Hard Rock over in Florida. And, man, the poker scene in Florida is awesome. I've only played poker out there twice, once in Tampa and once in Hollywood. And I just, I don't know, man. I'm into it. Have you been out there?
I have been to the sister property of the Hollywood poker, the Sherpo place, the place that Tony works, in Coconut Creek, and I enjoyed it. It is a big field. A lot of people in that Florida scene like it. I've never heard anybody say anything bad about their time in Florida. I think even as recently as last week, Ari Engel was basically saying, if you don't go to Vegas, or you're looking for an alternative to Vegas, go to Florida, play tournaments at this place because
if you're looking for an alternative to the hottest, craziest, most ridiculous city in the world, you can go to the beautiful, sunny destination in the South. I mean, I buy it. But if you don't want to leave your house, that's true. Actually, that is really true. But if you don't want to leave your house at all, if you just want to stay home and chill, you want to, have all of your home amenities and still play poker, we have a place for you, globalpoker.com. You can have fun chilling in your house, win real money. It doesn't have to be too serious. Don't take yourselves too seriously. In fact, we want to encourage you, if you do take poker really, really seriously, play on another site, please, because we're trying to keep it fun on globalpoker.com. We're trying to keep it social. It's, they have big tournament guarantees, big weekly tournaments, real cash prizes, and more American poker players are flocking to Global Poker to play poker legally from their homes. You want to go to globalpoker.com, and you can see why it is the fastest growing poker site for U.S. players. Now let's get Tony Burns on the lizard. And we are joined by Tony Burns, poker tournament director at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. Now, Tony, we were just both talking before you got on the show about how much we love that fancy property and how silly everyone is for going to Las Vegas because Florida's a little bit of a better destination, IMO. I'm just saying.
Agreed.
Look, you got it. Well, I of course want to get into a lot about what's going on at the Seminole Hard Rock. I think this has really become a big poker destination. It's become a real tournament stop, I think, for a lot of, both the biggest name players and also people who want to play those low stakes like myself. But before we get too much into it, I wanted to talk a little bit about you and your story. You've been nominated for awards. You've really built this. I think you've really built the room out in a way that's attracted a lot of people. So you've got the skills, but let's talk about who's the man behind, where is Tony Burns really from? You were a kid growing up in Northern Ohio.
No, close. Midwest. I'm originally from Indiana.
Yes.
Moved to I'm close. Moved to Titusville, which is right outside Orlando Kennedy Space Center in 1988, so I was 6 years old. Grew up there, went to UCF for college. You can finish, contrary to popular belief. They always said, it's under construction forever, you can't finish, but living proof, 4 years, you can get it done. Graduated 04 with a bachelor's degree in business. Got into poker on the side. My dad took me to Vegas for my 21st birthday.
Oh, good guy.
Yeah, well, thanks, Dad. So stayed at the Lady Luck Hotel in Old Downtown. He was very, very proud about spending $12.95 a night and getting $1.99 steak and eggs. Went to Binion's the year that Moneymaker won the World Series. So was there when he won the World Series and came back came back home and said, hey, guys, this everyday guy just won the World Series of Poker. And we started playing $5, $10 tournaments around the kitchen table. The Sun Cruz Casino ran out of Port Canaveral. It was the only place to play like bigger buy-in tournaments and things like that. So went from, right around the kitchen table to playing out on the boat. My first ever live multi, I played a $300 multi and picked up like $3,000. Finished third, was to go to the 2004 World Series. And so I instantly became the home game legend.
Wow, that's so sick, so fast.
Yeah, I mean, just full hook, first live multi, welcome.
Wow.
So.
And then you're just now you're just trapped forever.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, a friend of mine had a bar poker league, which was popular, early 2000s. Helped him out dealing. And my regular 9 to 5, I was importing and exporting building products from Chile and China and Brazil. So, yes, I know. A little bit of a paradox.
Yeah, like that's obscure. That's obscure. And the margins in a lot of that now are, I think, really slim. So come into this world.
Yeah. So dealing poker, I was dealing a couple nights of poker in the bars, having a good time with people and making the same amount of money in a couple nights of dealing poker that I was, my regular 9 to 5, 5 days a week. So I said, I like this poker thing. So a friend of mine wanted to expand the business. Went to the west coast of Florida, down from Tampa down to Naples. And we opened up, my apologies.
Okay,
opened up, sorry. Yeah, we're actually on the floor right now. Found a quieter corner. So ended up going down there for about a year. Came back when the laws changed in Florida 2007, allowing no limit buy-ins on land. So, but you could only buy in up to $100 in Florida. That was 2007. So we were playing, the best game we had going was a 5-10 no limit with a $5 ante for a $100 buy-in. And it was probably the crazier games out there. So, everybody just blind all in, guys running it up, as fast as they could. And, guy get up to 1,000, 2,000. If he would felt, then, hit the reset button back to 100. So that went on for a couple of years until they opened up the buy-ins, and that was about 2009. Worked at the Isle Casino in Pompano. I was hired by Mike Smith, who's the director of poker for Maryland Live. He left in 2012, 2013, about the time that I had the birth of my first child. Went back to dealing. He hired me originally as a dealer, went to a dual rate. Full-time supervising for him for, a few years. And tournaments were my niche, so I ran the nighttime tournaments. And so Mike left, went up to Maryland, worked a couple of years more at the Isle. 2015, August, joined the Hard Rock. The tournament director job opened up here. Bill Mason, who's the director of poker, hired me, and here we are today.
And the rest is history. And it's been it's been a solid few years since you've been there. I definitely think you've made quite a splash. And in fact, you guys have a big poker event. Wait, it's called the Poker Showdown?
Poker Showdown's going on right now. It started on April the 5th. We opened up with a $570 buy-in, $1 million guarantee. We actually ended up with 3,030 entries, so we had a $1.5 million prize pool. Four-way deal yesterday night for 4 players taking home. I think the minimum cash was $133,000. Won by a local player, Steve Bennett. 186,000 he won. So
that would be a big deal for me. That would really be nice.
and he's right back at it today. He's on the floor right now, playing the 1100. We got a WPT Deep Stacks event with a $250,000 guarantee. We absorbed that event. The Hurricane Irma back in September. We had to cancel the event over in our Immokalee property. And so we absorbed that event, and we hit the guarantee on the first day. And Joe McKeon sent out a thing, called me a sandbagger. I said, no, it wasn't a sandbagging. It was, it was just an absorbed event. So we had 314 yesterday. I think when I walked over here, like 360 today. So just another fantastic turnout and great start to the series.
Man, that's so sick. So, we just got done talking about the controversy at the Westgate, and I don't want to put you in a weird spot. Of course, you don't have to say too much about your opinion if it puts you in a weird spot.
Don't do controversy.
Well, it's in terms though of talking about these guarantees, it really is it's a tough spot for a tournament director, for a casino, for anywhere to be. Talk to me a little bit about how you guys ensure. I mean, you're reaching all your guarantees, so what are you guys doing to make sure that you're not only reaching them but you're crushing them?
Well, one of the things the Hard Rock has always done is they've always paid their guarantees. I think they have the largest guarantee in poker history. 2014, they had the $10 million event in August that overlaid $2.5 million, and they paid it. Obviously, that was before I got here. Bill Mason, who's the director of poker that I mentioned earlier, he has been the godfather of really the poker tournaments and just growing South Florida poker. I give him, I mean, he deserves all the credit, really. I mean, he allows me to be me, be the face that interacts with the players. But Bill, who was actually nominated for Industry Person of the Year in 2016, he's just done an amazing job, trial and error, different times of years, getting all the tournaments set, developing the partnerships, the logistics of what goes on here. And when I came aboard here, I really stepped into gold and was handed the keys to a Ferrari and it's like, hey, don't wreck it. So.
And modest to boot.
Once again, the credit it has to go to him, and without him allowing me to be me, I mean, the joke is I'm the face that runs the place, but it's been a lot of fun. Mr. Larry Frank, who's the general manager of poker operations, all the way to the top, they love poker here. And it's not many places that are investing into poker right now. I know we'll talk a little bit later very briefly on what I can talk about, but, when you drive on property now, you see an amazing expansion project going on with the new hotel and casino, and it's exciting times here.
Well, you guys have been really a hot topic at the American Poker Awards, I would say, for the last couple of years. Now, I, unfortunately, was sick and did not get to attend this year's
I was
awards.
wondering if you were here.
Yeah, where was that saucy little minx running around with all that open bar this time? I don't know, but let's talk a little bit about what went down for you guys at this year's awards.
So the property itself, unfortunately, our events, we weren't up for anything property specific, but I was once again blessed to be nominated for Industry Person of the Year with Mr. Savage and Adam Pliska and Sean McCormick, and it's I love that night. Just even if I wasn't up for anything, I would make every attempt to go to it because I compared it to like a yearly high school reunion without the awkward questions where everybody gets together and just kind of like, hey, how you doing? We don't have to ask, hey, how you been? Because we all follow each other, but it's just a really good night to get everybody together, show the poker world that we care about what we do. And, it's an added, it's an add to poker. So it's, like I said, all in all, a great time. I get to visit California once a year. My first 3 years here, gone to California every year, and hope to be back again next year.
And for those who missed it in the very beginning of our conversation, that is in fact how my husband knows. I said, I'm going to be interviewing Tony later today, and he was like, oh, the gentleman with the white suit from the Poker Awards. So if you guys don't know, you got to look it up. Tony's got some flair. Ooh. He's got some style. He's looking fly AF every time he goes to California.
I still catch a lot of grief for that suit. I know when Savage burnt his cranberry suit, they told me I should have thrown that one right in the fire right behind it.
No. I'm all about that. I'm all about like standing out. You gotta look saucy. You gotta look fun at the awards. Nobody should take themselves too seriously. And in the poker world, I think there's definitely a lot of people take themselves way too seriously. But finally, I don't want to keep you for too long. Obviously, you're in the midst of running the show over there, the face of the show over there. But let's talk a little bit about, this is something we're going to get into a little bit later in the show. Some of our guests were talking about the single big blind ante format. There's a lot of new kind of trends coming out in poker. There's a lot of things people have been trying. What are your thoughts as someone who's seeing this stuff all the time?
My history goes to baseball, and before I got into poker, I worked for the Florida Marlins and the Montreal Expos, and then you see Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball is all about speed of play. Everybody's attention span right now is, we're gnats. We want fast. So I think the It's an evolution of the game. I think it's a great concept. I played in a couple myself at like a $250 price point. I liked it. Definitely brought some different strategy to your opening ranges when you got short and you're getting ready to post both the big blind and the ante, which you should be posting the ante first, but later. But I get it. I've heard the arguments on all over on how this should be conducted, but all in all, I think it's great for the pace of play. I've ran a personal poll, got a small sample. I've seen the other polls that are out there, but as a majority, I think the players either like the idea of it if they haven't tried it or like it.
I love it. We're all about speeding up that game. Let's keep it fun. Let's keep it fast. Let's make that money. And Tony, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you coming on the show, spending the time. I know you've got a lot going on, and we'll all just be looking forward to what we can expect from your suit next year. It's going to have to be big.
Oh, yeah, Adam what's that?
Oh, you're going to have to up the game for sure, yeah.
Yeah, Adam Pliska, he gave me the seal of winning back-to-back best dressed of the year. So this year was slightly Pliska-inspired, so we'll see what we can pull out next year. Once again, if I'm blessed and lucky enough to be or the property, once again, in the end, it's about the property, and hopefully people will come out, see us in August for the SHRPO 5 mil with a $3 million guarantee. We're hoping to get that schedule out soon, so...
People love that Sherpo, man. It's like every time I'm at another event, everyone's like, I gotta get out. I gotta go back to Florida. I'm going to the Sherpo. I like saying it, too.
Yeah, Sherpo is fun to say. It works out.
Yeah, that's I've heard some people, like, want to try to get rid of it, but there's a lot of people that like it. So I'm like, why get rid of it? It's catchy,
I'm telling you, if you can find an acronym that looks like it's not going to work and then it works, like, just run with it, dude. Take it all the way.
Exactly.
All right, thank you so much, Tony. I really appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Bye. Well, if you guys are in the Seminole Hard Rocks area, or even if you're not and you just want to look for an awesome, fun place to go play some poker, go check out the Poker Showdown. And in the meantime, let's talk a little bit more news there, Mr. Harrington. Next item on the docket, Davide Katai wins the 25K high roller at the Party Poker in Barcelona. This guy crushes everything, and also apparently his GF or wife, he's an expectant father. He's got the cute winner pics with the pregnant wife. Like, this guy wins everything.
It is a great picture. And he was saying, I watched a little bit of the interview afterwards. He said that he felt like he's never going to lose an all-in because he just thinks about his baby. And I was like, it's probably not a foolproof plan, but it's cool that it worked out. Because I think he said he was short-handed, four-handed, which we talked about all the time. That it doesn't take a ton of chips to win, but yeah, it's pretty awesome. He is a crusher. I mean, one of many. Like this final table is insane. Bonomo, O'Dwyer, Schindler, Ryan Reese, Adrian Mateos, like
Loser, all these losers.
Yeah, losers.
They're all so sick. It's true. And really, I mean, I think even when you look at the people in the background of this picture, where if you guys go on PokerNews.com, you can check it out. It's on the homepage right now, but it's Davide Katai, like, kissing his significant other. But then you can just see the background is, like, all these sickos just looking over. It's just, like, Chadwick and Nietzsche and Adrian Mateos Diaz. And, like, basically
Nick Petrangelo in there. Yeah.
Everybody is, like, in the background. So whatever they got going on down there. And we have a team over there, too. So you guys can follow the action, of course, on Poker News, or at least, like, check in periodically for the big events and what's going down. But I know what you guys have all been waiting for, and it's the same thing that I've been waiting for. What is going on with your love life, Brent? Did you get that eHarmony hookup yet, or what?
Yeah, I'm having some sweet conversations. I think we talked about this before. Like, eHarmony is awesome because it's engaging. I think it's way more engaging than just swiping and random chats and that kind of stuff. So, I prefer it. It's definitely like an experience, that I haven't had in a while. But I remember too, one of the things that eHarmony was saying was that they're focused on just like meaningful relationships, not necessarily, something quick, right? Something that lasts, something that you remember. And, a lot of people are obviously finding those things at eHarmony, which I think is great. So hopefully I'm not immune to that. Hopefully I can find it. I feel like eHarmony's got its work cut out for it, but we're trying. We're in there in the trenches, and sending out these questions and like
This
getting
is what I want to
answers.
know. I've heard about the questionnaire, and I really want to take it and see if me and my husband are like a good match.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, but that could,
They're like, don't do
potentially cause problems. Yeah, they're like, don't use our algorithm as a reason to like be more or less happy with your current. Yeah, exactly. That would be bad news. No, but it feels pretty accurate. Like you asked some questions about like, I'm trying to think of one specific question off the top of my head. I think one of them is something like, would you rather have like, if you're 90 years old, would you rather have the mind or the body of someone who's 25?
Oh, right. Mind, snap call. Right?
Yeah, mind. That's like, I don't know, but that would tell you about someone's personality, right? If someone said body, then they obviously like value things a little bit different than the people who snap call mind. So I think, there's a lot of data science. I mean, everything in our life is an algorithm, and this is part of that, but they work. Otherwise, they wouldn't be that ingratiated into our lives. So I think if you're looking for love, this is the place, and you can try it. We've talked about this before. You get a free month, but so you've said a free month of a 3-month subscription. So you're only paying for 2 months, and you use it, code PokerNews. So stop waiting to start your journey to a satisfying, meaningful relationship. It can be fun to play around with online dating apps, but when you're ready to fall in love with someone and have a meaningful relationship, there's one app that's built to bring you real love, eHarmony. Come see how eHarmony can change your life. Go to eHarmony.com and get started, and be sure to enter the code PokerNews at checkout for your free month of your 3-month subscription.
I cannot wait to meet this girl who is the same amount of altruism that you are. So
right.
When it happens, she's coming on the show for sure.
Okay, deal.
When you guys get married, you're going to be one of those stories. Like, eHarmony sends me the stories sometimes of, like, people who met, and their whole backstory and how they've met on eHarmony. And I can't wait for you to be one of those stories with your altruistic girl.
Dancing on the commercials and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
It's going to be exciting.
Okay, so for more poker news, I feel like we should at least talk about, so Gus Hansen jumped back into the online poker world, and I feel like Gus Hansen's one of those people where it's like, he just periodically like splashes around here and there, and basically every time he does, it's news and people love it, and of course it's because he's always playing high stakes, and he's always kind of being wild and crazy, and it turns out that over the last week, he actually won the biggest pot online, and it was against Leon Sukernick, who is for those who don't know, I think probably lots of you do, but he is the owner of the King's Casino in Rozvadov. He's also been the subject of quite a lot of controversy and speculation, but basically Gus Hansen won a $205,000 pot against Leon Sukernick in a PLO game. You can watch the hand itself. In fact, they have a bunch of really great kind of analysis and hand histories on the Railbird report on PokerNews.com. And actually it was funny because also in the social media stuff for the week this week, I was looking through and Gus Hansen was doing some stories on Instagram, and I haven't been able to do a story on Instagram yet. I don't know why, but it's funny because like he just gets on and he's like, well, it was, like, good, I won some money, but, okay, he didn't say that exactly, but he's like, but I don't know, I'm not sure if it's the return of the Jedi, which I don't even know what this is. It's like so big, everything's so big, and then if you guys haven't checked it out, people have been talking about this for, like, 3 weeks, but the real Philbort has been doing stories on Instagram where he just basically complains and, like, talks about how miserable life is, and it's actually really funny. He's like, so the one this week, so it started with, everyone's always saying how they're so happy on social media, but no one's ever saying like, oh, I'm miserable and it sucks, so I'm gonna say that. And I was like, okay, well that's like your shtick, like that's fine. But then he gets on and he's like, okay, so it's the Sunday grind and my back hurts and I'm hungry. And like, I don't know, I kind of like it.
No, he seems so cavalier that I think it would be definitely entertaining.
Yeah.
I like it.
I don't know. I'm into it. And so, yeah, you guys can check all that fun stuff out. And I'm trying to decide if it makes the most sense. All right, let's just get into it. Fine. One more time. Let's talk about the 5 traits of a successful poker player. Now, I just want to know your thoughts, basically, on this. Like, so don't even open the article. Just, if you had to come up with 5 traits on your own, what would you say?
Okay. I think the first thing that's probably the most important would be, like, now I can't even think of the word. Like, understanding yourself. What's that word? Like, there's a word for it, but I can't think of it. Like, being honest about how good or bad you are, that kind of thing. I think self-realization or, I don't know why I'm spacing. But yeah, whatever that word is, that's the word I'm looking for. But I think it's hugely important for people to understand where they're at, right? There's a lot of ego associated with poker, but I think the people who are probably the most successful understand where they're at in regards to other players, and the people who are most successful are going to be able to do that better, if that makes sense. So, I'm spacing, but I think you get the gist. Yeah. Right? So that would be number 1. Number 2, rich. It's like, yeah, maybe that's not. I would say you have to be smart with your money. Mm-hmm. So I guess frugal or something. Just like the idea that bankroll management plays a huge part in your ability to break out of, whatever spot. Like we were talking to Kevin, he's trying to increase his ROI, and increase the average buy-in, and Andrew Nemi's moving up in stakes. So like poker, you get moving, you want to move up, right? Like how does Doug Polk become Doug Polk, right? He didn't start out playing heads up no limit for crap loads of money. He earned his way up there through like grinding it,
diapers.
Yeah, exactly. Just training as a small baby, playing internet tournaments. But yeah, so smart with money, I guess. Money sense, right? You have to be able to and then let's see. I have to come up with 5. This is insane. Okay. Courage.
Balls.
For some reason. Yeah.
Balls.
Courage or balls.
Sense.
You have to be able to do things that you feel are right and be willing to be wrong. Yeah. I think that's a huge thing. A lot of people say, like, if you've never been caught bluffing, you're not playing poker correctly, that kind of thing. So you have to be willing to do that. So courage. I would say also emotional fortitude, if that makes sense. I think the people who are going to do better are people who understand that this isn't going to be like always great. And even the most like emotionally fortuitous or fortitude, the strongest people who have success find pitfalls and places where maybe they're not feeling so great. So this is, that kind of thing is important. I think people's ability to stay even when it's going great and even the same when it's going bad, understanding that, hey, you know what? This is where the self-realization stuff comes in, where they know, like, hey, I know that I'm doing the right things, right? And then but you have to also be honest with yourself, and you have to be actually doing the right things, which instead of just telling yourself like, oh, you deserve to win. It's almost like like a microcosm for life, right? Like if you're lying to yourself, you're not necessarily going to be as successful as you could be. No, that's fine. Bless you. I would say, let's see, that was 4, right? So I think 5 would be, I don't know if it's like of all of these things, but maybe like a presence kind of. I think, like the way you present yourself at the table, ability to kind of maybe craft an image. So, just like we were talking about with Kevin, right? He's an attractive dude, good smile, super nice, but he'll get you if he's got the opportunity.
We haven't talked to Kevin yet at this point.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yes.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so be on the lookout for that one.
Be Bolo.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think maybe those are the things.
All right,
at some point,
fair.
I'm going to remember that word.
Now we're going to find out what they are according to PartTimePoker.com with our boy Keith Wernell, who is an awesome writer and writes lots of interesting things that I really enjoy. He said, number one, you need math skills. True dat. This is why I suck at poker. Number two, you need risk tolerance. So you kind of touched on this, which I think is sort of similar, and I love he puts Matt Damon from Rounders when he's Mike McDermott, and he says, you can't lose what you don't put in the middle, but you can't win much either. Fair enough. Number three, creativity. A little quote from Johnny Chan here, Poker After Dark Season 2. Instinct just tells me that the way he checked it, he just had a big hand. After the flop, I knew my hand was no good, so I just turned it loose. That, instinct, you know?
It's important. Poker sense, I guess.
Emotional control, which you also touched on, I think. You called it emotional fortitude, I think. Same idea. And number five, confidence, which I got a shout out to my homie. You guys know he used to be the majority shareholder of PokerNews.com, Tony G. The quote on this section is, I won this pot because I have the heart and commitment to the game. On your bike. Okay. I love it. Okay.
I miss more stuff from him.
It was
I'm
like
glad
a
he's
running
kind of
joke for ages.
coming back a bit.
Right? Like the running joke was always like, do you have the heart and commitment? I don't know if that was a running joke in the rest of the poker world, but it certainly was at Poker News.
I wasn't even that ingratiated into the poker world, and my friend just kept pulling up Tony G videos. Like basically highlight reels of Tony G because he loved his personality. So
me too.
For sure.
Me too. And that does, it goes with the whole, personality thing, like you said. I think there's a lot of overlapping there. All right. So let's talk a little bit though also about a problem. Here's a problem that a lot of people have. 66%, in fact, of men have by age 35. Hair loss.
That's my age.
Hair loss.
Close to.
Is your hairline slowly starting to move backwards? Any bald spots yet?
Thin spots.
How are you going to feel a year from now if it's not business as usual up there? Do you want a bald spot to pop up? Do you want something maybe to do about it? First, now, and I'll tell you, forhims.com. It's a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, sexual wellness, and just men's health in general. The whole thing is that basically, and it's weird how many men I know in my life who are experiencing this and who are uncomfortable about it, but even more uncomfortable with doing something about it. And the reality is, in this day and age, baldness is optional. It's okay if you're into it, if you like that, it's totally up to you, but it's basically because of the way that science has progressed, because of the things that are available to us, it's really not necessary if you don't want that at this point in your life. And hims.com can connect you with real doctors and medical grade solutions to treat hair loss. There's well-known generic equivalents to the, name brand prescriptions that might cost you an arm and a leg to help you keep your hair. All of it is legit, backed by science. You meet with a doctor, ask a few questions, all done online. It's super easy, and they can prescribe you what you need. The products will be shipped right to your door. There's no need to, it's just easy. I don't know why all these boys I know that are having this issue are just so afraid. And the reality is now there's no reason to not at least try it, because if you order right now, the listeners of PokerNews.com get a trial month of Hims for just $5 today, while supplies last. See the website for full details. Normally this would cost hundreds of dollars if you went to see a doctor or if you go into a regular pharmacy. But right now, if you go to forhims.com/pokernews, that's forhims.com/pokernews, forhims.com/pokernews, try it. Just $5 right now, and that way you can keep the hair that you already have, which is infinitely easier than trying to create the hair once it's gone. OMFG. Now, let's talk to Kevin Martin. I've already talked a lot about our boy, Kevin Martin, and this interview is brought to you by the Playground Poker Club. I think I mentioned that as we get into it, but let's get right into Kevin. What is up, everybody? Welcome back. For those of you who are listening, we are in the middle of the show, and we are at that very important point of the show where we go to our Playground Poker Club sponsored interview segment. Playground Poker Club, right now, we're trying to hype that Millions North America, which was last year's American Poker Awards event of the year. It is coming up. We will give you tons more details about that. But in the meantime, we are joined by Kevin Martin, also known as @KevinRobMartin. He is a professional poker player. He is a streamer. He's also a Big Brother Canada 2-time participant, 1-time winner.
Yes. 1 for 2. We're batting 500.
Yeah, 50-50. 50-50, yeah. Which it's, and actually I feel like I just want to start off with this because for me this is always the most interesting part because I don't know anything about Big Brother, but it's everyone that I know basically in my life is into Big Brother and is obsessed with it. So let's just get that really quick out of the way for those who don't know. When did you win? How did you get to do it twice? And how does this correlate to strategy games as a whole? Because I'm sure everyone also knows Vanessa Russo was up in there, maybe other poker player.
Yeah, Vanessa Russo got third in the American version. Poker players do well in Big Brother. Survivor, not so much. We really struggle on Survivor for some reason. We're really bad at Survivor. But first of all, thank you for having me on the show. Big Brother is a weird part of my life. I played in 2015. When I was 22 years old here in Canada. I was on season 3 of Big Brother Canada. And for some reason, it was just like a dream that grew up. And it was one of my, if I made a bucket list when I was 22, winning a reality television show was probably number 1 or number 2. It was something I was obsessed for. I was really into reality television. Thankfully, I got cast. I got a devastating 9th place in my first attempt. I was really crushed. I was 22. It's like, this is my dream. It's over. Life is terrible.
Wait, how many?
16.
Wow.
I died like not even close. I wasn't even close to making
almost halfway though. Almost
halfway. But for some reason in 2015 I left a mark with production and the audience. They really liked my character, and so they invited me back. And we kind of had a returning season last year. They invited 8 contestants back to play again, people that they thought were interesting or the story wasn't complete. Thankfully, I made the cut, and they invited me back into the house. And this time we ran it all the way and got the win. It was about 1 year, almost. It's like 11 months ago was the finale day where I won the jury vote and the $100,000 in the car, and more importantly, I conquered my goal. I was so into it, and we won the whole thing.
Wow! But so these were all former Big Brother, these are like the pros. This is like when the Bachelorette goes on to become or whatever, they switch over. Yeah. They know what's going on. Then they've saw where they made their mistakes and they're ready to fix their game.
For sure. Well, they don't bring back necessarily good players. They bring back entertaining players. And so in last year when we played, they had 8 returning players, and then they had 8 rookies. So it was a mixed cast. They had 8 people who were playing their second time and 8 people that were playing their first time. And the people who were playing their second time definitely had an edge. Just experience. It's a tough environment to live in. We had been through it once, so we had a huge advantage over the new players who were a little bit. I think there was some good potential there. There was a couple good players, but overall they were definitely fresh meat. And I think if we played that season over and over again, the winner would probably come from the returnees pretty often.
So this is like a very deeply bizarre sort of psychological game. And I'm sure you can't get into all of it, and I'm sure you've had to talk about it a zillion times, but I think it's really crazy. So can you just, for those who don't know about it, at this point, are you even allowed to say what your sort of strategy is and how you were able to basically pick a lot of what's been happening in this most recent season, right? You have you know what's up.
It's tough to boil it down to, but the game mechanics work. If nobody has any clue what we're talking about, they throw a group of strangers into a house, right? 16 people is usually the amount. Sometimes they'll do 14 or 12. Usually 16 is what they do now, and they compete for power struggle. They live isolated in the same house. You're not allowed to leave. There's no cell phones. They don't give you pencil and pens. You're not allowed to write down anything. There's no windows into the outside world. There's one little room where you can kind of see the sky and get a sense that you're a human. Basically, you are in lockdown. Yeah, you're watching 24/7. You have a microphone wrapped around your neck 24/7. Every word you say is captured on film, and you compete for power. You make friends. And once every week, someone leaves the house. So you start with 16. First week, someone leaves, you have 15 left. You're like, okay, you survive. Then there's 14 left, 13 left, 12 left. And the goal is to be the last one remaining and to win all the money. So it's a game of survival. You have to make friends. Like, let's say, Sarah, we were in the house together. I would probably come up and, we would have a genuine relationship. But at one point, maybe you would get power and you'd have to decide to stab me and move on farther in the game at my expense. It's wild. It's trippy. It's emotionally, it's like the best thing that's ever happened to me. At the same time, there was a lot of negative. It took me a long time to get back into real life. It's just a deeply psychological game, and it's really, really weird. I'm going to write a book about it sometime, I swear, in the next, I don't know, I keep putting it off. But I'm going to write a book from my first person's perspective on what I went through and what other people went through. And it's amazing. It's truly amazing and also slightly scary at the same time.
You have that really nice face, like that sweet smile. I could totally see how that works in your favor. Like, everyone's like, he's my bestie. And meanwhile, you're like throwing him under the bus. So did you, in terms of actual relationships, obviously your girlfriend now is someone you met on the first season, right? So you do make real friendships, but then you also at some point have to probably, it's like playing Risk with your family. Like, you might as well just get divorced right now.
Yeah, it's like a big real-life board game that real feelings are involved because they are real friendships. So, yeah, I met Peely in 2015. Love of my life. She's great. She's out of yoga right now, so she's not around. But I'm obsessed with her. When I played again in my second time, I was actually single, and I developed a really close relationship with a guy. We had a really flirty relationship. His name was Will. And that kind of guy, showmance, flirtmance hasn't really been seen on national television. So Canada, was really into it. They loved it. They loved our relationship, watching two guys, flirt and be into each other. And then, I stabbed him really hard. And what happened, the situation is, the first time I played, I was loved. Second time, I was a villain. People were not happy to see me win because of what happened with William. So basically, I was in trouble, and William had a secret power, and he saved me from elimination. Then 6 days later, he was in trouble, and I didn't really care. I just kind of let him go and moved on myself, and didn't really fight for him. So
that gives me goosebumps.
Canada was not a fan of that. Oh yeah, I guess I've had some hate mail and some stuff, but it's all good. It's part of the game. I'm a very morally person. I love charity. I love taking care of people. I'm very aware of people suffering in my life, and I'll do anything to help out anybody. But in that game, I truly believe it's an isolated environment where you can be the villain, you can do whatever you want. In that game, I would have done worse to win. Let's just say I would have passed what a lot of people would have considered bad moral territory.
But let's get serious then. Was it organic? Was this character? Did you go in there with a goal of I will romance whoever I can romance, I will befriend whoever, or was there truth to it?
There was, he was genuinely attractive and funny dude, and we generally, were good friends. But in front of every relationship was the game, and I was going to make the plus EV move to increase my win equity at whatever cost. I would have never made a minus EV playing Big Brother to help someone out. It's very, I compared it to poker a lot. It's if you're deep, let's say you're deep in a tournament. Let's say you're deep in the main event, and you're, final couple tables, and you have a huge hand against your friend. You're going to stack it. You're not going to slow play just because they're your friend. You're going to make the plus EV poker play. And I feel like Big Brother, even though it's a little more intimate and social game, I feel like it's the same thing. Just you should never check back the nuts in poker. You should never check back the nuts in Big Brother. You just have to go for the kill all the time.
Okay, but so did you intentionally go as single, Kevin?
Yeah. We definitely kept that door open. But that's the stage I was at in my life as well. Peely and I were kind of at an off time in our relationship.
Okay, so that was real. It wasn't dude, I can't play this game with this baggage. You got to back it up. It was okay, this would happen regardless of whether or not you were going to play.
It's just what I was. That was just what was happening in my time of life. Obviously, it was, I think, an advantage to have that open and lure in the poor Will, man.
Has he forgiven you? You talked to him since?
We got hammered right after finale, and we just drank and we laughed about it. He would have cut me too again if he had another opportunity. It's just, and it's interesting. I haven't seen the season. I haven't watched season 5. So after I got off in 2015, I binge watched my first season 3, and I was presented and edited in an amazing way. It was really, really exciting because that's another thing with reality television is producers do have control of how they portray characters with edits. From my experience, Big Brother Canada was very authentic. The production team that works there is truly amazing. And a lot of what the story shows is correct. But at the same time, if let's say you have your hero and they have a bad moment, it's easy to edit that out and continue the hero going on their trail. So, season 5 I haven't watched. Even though I won the season, I imagine there's a lot of awkward moments. So, I'll watch it in a couple of years, but not anytime soon.
So you have no idea what other people are seeing of you.
No. I could talk about the show for 3 hours. There's so many. The casting process is insane to get on these shows, and I don't think I can go too much into that. I'm under contract for another month with Insight Productions. But Wild Times, I could talk about it forever.
Dude, you should definitely write a book, actually. I would be super, because I don't even watch the show, but even when I very first talked to you and you said, okay, I really want to do it again, and this time I would do it differently, and I think I could win it, and apparently a lot of other people also thought you could win it. It's even when you were describing to me the whole thing, the meta game is crazy. Yeah. You don't even, it's crazy. It's like a movie. It's I don't know. Yeah, it's a TV show. It's not
what was really cool, I talked to Sarah. We had that interview at the PCA between my 2 seasons. So you were interviewing the 9th place Kevin and was a little bit upset. And I kind of, in the back of my mind, I had a good relationship with production, and I knew that an All-Star Seasons was coming. I wasn't, for sure looking forward to it. But I had an idea that maybe they would select my character for a second chance, and thankfully they did. It's crazy. As soon as I got the call to play a second time, I was streaming and playing poker full-time on my Twitch stream. I was living in Vancouver. As soon as I got the call, I was like, you have 2 weeks to prepare. Only 2 weeks. I hard stopped everything, and I full-time prepared for Big Brother. I phoned one of my friends and was like, all right, Sue, I'm going to pay you full-time. You're going to watch every episode in the history of the show. You're going to make notes on all the competitions. Every time there's a competition, you're going to write down who won. You're going to detail the strategy that they used to win that competition. So I studied the whole show more than anybody ever has in the history before going back on. So at the end of my season 5, I was in a very bad spot. There's 8 people left. I was the number 1 target. My allies had just left. Netta, Bruno, the people I worked with are all gone. And they were coming after me. But thankfully, I won my way to the end. All the competitions in Big Brother Canada, they're not recycled, but a lot of them are similar, and a lot of them have puzzles, and I felt like I had an edge in the competition. So sure enough, from the final 8 to the win, I won every competition. If I lost one time, I would have gotten voted up. But thankfully, I went on an immediate run. And that's
you could maybe also... You should write a book that you sell to people who find out they're going to be on Big Brother that's really expensive.
Tips for winning?
Yes, and then also write the book that's for the fan fate, that we want to read, right? But the one that the Big Brother people going on, you're this will cost you $20,000, but you might win $100,000. Is it worth it? Just, tips and just ideas.
The most expensive book of all time. $20,000 book. Or a percentage of your win, whatever you win at Big Brother, you get back to Kevin.
There's a guy who got cast on the American version. He actually wrote a book about how to get cast on reality television, and I think it sold like hotcakes because there's a huge market for people that are trying to get on these shows. Even at Up Reno, I talked to 4 or 5 people that have auditioned for Survivor, have auditioned for Big Brother Canada. That's another interesting thing. This is how my weird brain works. In life, when I find something that I want to do, I obsess about it, and I just go and do it, and I get it done, and failure is not an option. So when Big Brother Canada came to Canada, I was 19 years old. I applied for season 1, got cut really hard, didn't even really hear back from them. I applied for season 2, got cut. I'm like, okay, I'm better than this. So I went online and researched casting and the inner workings of reality television casting, and I found all the information I could. And then I knew the system. And so when I applied for season 3, I did present my character, but I presented it in a way that could fit the system. And sure enough, I got on season 3 with that formula.
Dude, I trust you not at all anymore. All of a sudden, I'm all oh, he's so genuine. And then I'm maybe that's what he thinks I want him to be like. I don't know. Ooh, I love it, though. Okay, well, I guess we...
Again, that's my reality TV life. I feel like in real life, that's just my weird world that I get to go crazy in.
I love it. Either way. Even if you're totally, bluffing me, I don't care. It's amazing. But it's great to see you, I think in terms of the Big Brother stuff, you were disappointed with the loss, came back, crushed, and now it seems like your pinned tweet or your most recent tweet on Twitter was sort of showing your graph in poker from the last few years, and it's pretty solid what's going on right now too. It seems like you've really made sort of a turn or some sort of a shift in your poker game as well. So talk to us a little bit about what's going on with your graph, man.
Yeah.
I can show people too.
So the one on the left, so when I first got into poker, when I first played online, I was one of the first streamers. Jamie Staples got me into streaming. I'd never played online poker before, and so I just jumped on played a bunch of tournaments, and I really got crushed. I got smashed. I mean, I thought I was good, but I had never worked on my game or anything. And it was a very humbling experience. I was like, oh my God, I'm way behind the curve. So I contacted some people, and they're like, yeah, you're just like not good at poker. And as a 22-year-old, it's like, oh my God, okay, I got to get better. And so I found as much material as I could. My one coach, his name is LBRY. He does like hypnotherapy and stuff and meditation, which I find very, very powerful. And he looked at my results and he's like, you're really not good. He's like, from now on, you're going to study 10 hours a week. This is going to be your part-time job studying poker if you want to become a full-time stringer and a sponsored player, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So 10 hours a week I studied, and the progression came. And sure enough, along with like healthy eating habits, working really hard, it's just we do very well at the stakes that we play online right now.
Man, all of I'm telling you, it's so funny. It seems like this really common thread all across the board is all these players, once they started sort of, I guess, taking into account their spirit, I guess, and also their body, it seems to be making a huge difference. So talk to us about sort of your stream life now compared to then.
Yeah, when I first started, I mean, I was just kind of throwing stuff at the wall. I love streaming. I loved, putting myself out there. I was moving around all the time. Right now, I'm very much more settled. I'm 25 right now. When I started, I was 22, and I feel like over the last 3 years, we've definitely changed and matured or grown up or whatever. Like, I'm a creature of routine right now. And 21-year-old Kevin would play till 5 in the morning, stream till 6 in the morning, 15-hour streams. Right now, I'm like, all right, give me a 7-hour stream. After 6 hours, my poker really struggles, and I start to play really, really poorly. But yeah, I'm just settled down in Calgary, Alberta, living with my girlfriend full time. And I feel like the routine that I've established right now is 2018 is we're off to the best start of a poker year ever. 2018, the first 3 months of results we've had is just off the charts. We definitely want to keep it going. I keep telling my stream is super hype right now. I have an amazing community. They're just cheering me on. Go Kevin, go Kevin, go Kevin. It's easy to have that hype when things are going well. I'm like, guys, when this downswing hits or when the troubled times come, I'm going to need your energy too, because we keep expecting it. But we don't want that to happen. If we could just win all year, that would be great.
We were crushing Run It Up Reno. It seems like, I don't know what was going on, but it seems like you were final tabling basically every other event. And I don't know if it's just because Brent loves Run It Up Reno, and so we're just like getting this vibe or what, but it seems like everybody that we have on the show that goes there is like obsessed with this tournament series and thinks it's kind of just, it's its own baby, and it's super cool. So talk to us about this year's Run It Up Reno for you.
Yeah, it's incredible. Sarah, you have to come next time. Next October. I think the dates, Jason just tweeted out the dates. You should honestly come. Jason would love to have you. It would be amazing. Whatever, whether you play or report or whatever, do podcasts, you should come. Honestly, book it. You won't be disappointed.
I love the
growing
pepper
every
mill.
year.
I love the pepper mill.
The pepper mill is great. The pepper mill is fantastic.
Shout out to Mike and the gang over there. Those guys are great.
The whole team, man. Jason has taken this baby project, and now it's not just Jason. It's a whole team around him of Jay, Joe, Great Torp. I can't even name everybody. But it's so passionate, and love that they put into it in terms of the structures are amazing, the buy-ins are great. If you just want to play $100 tournaments all week, you can do that. There's sit and goes in the morning. But if you want to degen away and fire away, that's you can just do it. I mean, there's one case, I fired 6 bullets in the main event. I did make 3 final tables. It's a little deceiving because I just fire more bullets than the average person. Just like if the registration is open, I'm rebuying no matter what, as long as it's not a knockout. So yeah. Oh man, that 1K though. I think Brent was there, but we were deep in the 1K. We knocked out 17 people for $500 each at bounty. It was a record. They've never had that many people. But then I just kind of choked at the end. I had a quarter of the chips in play with like 2 tables left, and I got 6th. That shouldn't happen very often. It's going to happen sometimes. It is a poker tournament, but it shouldn't happen very often where you have that many chips and you end up getting 6th place. So
no, I disagree. I think anyone who's coming, like at the end of the tournament, if you have all the chips, you're never winning ever. Like very really small percentage of the time does that happen. I don't know why. I swear every time I read the blog the night before like a final table and it's like this person has all the chips, I'm like, well, that person's not winning.
Good luck on second.
Yeah, no chance you're winning.
Or congratulations.
For sure, the guy with the hardest name is always going to be the one that wins.
Christoph Steemit.
Kevin Martin is never winning. But 17 is crazy. That's a lot. So is it, I guess this is a ridiculous question. And actually, I've done a lot of videos in terms of shootout strategy, but outside of just, which everyone says there's no strategy, but is this your sort of, let me think. So in terms of your big brother, it's like, oh, I'm so sweet and I'm so nice, but I will literally stab you. Is this a similar poker thing? You're like, oh, look at me, I'm so nice and charming, but like, I will take all of your chips as fast as I can. Don't be deceived.
That's the goal. Yeah, it doesn't always work out like that. Of course, on the table, I love talking to people and learning people's story of life. But if you're in a pot with me, like I'm a savage, I'll do anything to win the pot. You know, I think all poker players just have to. You shouldn't be playing the tournament. You can play poker to have a great time, but in my mindset and the people that I talk to that are going for the kill, it's just if you're in a pot, just do anything to mess them up for sure.
Okay, well, this really important question, which actually was on my outline, but comes from Matt Gauthier, maybe? I'm going with that. It could also be
that's a familiar guy.
But yeah, he wants to know if you solved the hit and run. And I also was wondering about that when I was looking at your Twitch stream. So bring the viewers in on the story, and then let's find out more about the investigation.
It was amazing. Yes, it was weird emotions. I was so happy that this happened. And yesterday, again, the story summed up as I won the car on Big Brother Canada, brand new car. I'm not very materialistic. Like, I'll buy a lot of cryptocurrencies and stocks with my money. But in terms of physical items, I don't have watches or jewelry or bling or anything. I just don't really care about that stuff. But I won a brand new car on Big Brother Canada. I'm like, oh my God, I'm never going to spend $35,000 on a car. So this is like the nicest thing I've ever owned. And, yesterday my girlfriend was at yoga. She comes home really tilted, and she said someone hit the car and ran. There's a big scratch on the car. It's not a ton of damage, but it is a brand new car, 7,000 kilometers. This all unfolded live on my Twitch stream yesterday. So I'm playing all these tournaments, and then half my brain is on the poker, and half my brain is on my car that just got hit. A witness saw the hit and run, left the license plate number, got the phone number. So we called the police on stream. I muted the mic. I should have just not muted the mic. It would have been amazing to have the 911 call. By the way, we called 911 and people lost their mind. They're like, you should phone the non-emergency number. I didn't know that was a thing.
When you said 911, I was like, well, who's dead? Who is bleeding somewhere?
We phoned 911, obviously. What's your emergency? Are you safe? Look, I had no emergency. Just our car got hit, no emergency. And then they transfer us. I learned, though. You learn something new every day. Don't phone 911. There's non-emergency numbers. Anyway, we found the girl. She claims that she hit the car, didn't notice, and took off. And now, it's even juicier. She doesn't want us to contact insurance. She wants us to go under the table. So this is exciting, man. I mean, I was losing my mind. I was doing a bunch of tournaments, but to have this, the cops came over. They got all their information. There's a female officer and a male officer. Again, I respected their privacy. I didn't put the camera on them. But the stream was juicy last night. It was very exciting.
She did not know that she was hitting the Big Brother Canada Champs car. Oh,
man.
No, girl.
What percent do you believe her? This young girl at yoga hits the car. She definitely knew.
Because the thing is,
she always knows in that spot.
The worst noise. No, that's the problem. That's the whole thing about car accidents. It's like even the littlest ones make the worst noise. Like, she heard. Yeah, and then she was like, oh, my dad's going to be so mad. Please don't tell anyone.
There's a hero in Calgary, though. Someone saw it all happen and left info, license plate number, everything. And even more, the license plate number didn't register to a vehicle. So the cops were wondering if it was like a stolen vehicle, unregistered vehicle. Like, this had layers. This started out as a minor hit and bump. This is deep. I might have to film a documentary about this hit and run.
Dude, and whoever is this hero who writes it down, that's like basically what I'm always trying to be. Like, every time I see something going on in the world, I'm like, oh, I should be paying attention right now because I might need to someday detail this. I'm like, okay, he was wearing cargo shorts and this, like, just in case. You never know when you might need to have all the information. Okay, I have psychological problems.
My guess is that it was Liam Neeson. Yeah. Liam Neeson saw it and registered the license plate. He's like, I will help you, Kevin.
Okay, and also because you called the police, like, you have to contact insurance now, right? Like, you can't do that. Or else
I feel like that's the right thing to do, but she was very adamant. She's like, I'll whatever it's worth, I'll give you guys money, but I don't want this to go through insurance. So there's some shady red flags going on here, which is really juicy. I'm excited to update my stream today.
Because that's the whole point of insurance, right? Like, insurance like saves you from having to pay for things out of your pocket. So
but insurance is more savage than Kevin Martin on Big Brother, so I think maybe you want to keep. Some people like it. I don't know. I'm sympathetic to the idea that her but you hit Kevin Martin's car, you're gonna pay.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay.
Yeah. Jeez. Wow. Well, and especially when you come out of yoga, that's like the worst thing to deal with. You come out of yoga, you're just like, man, I love my life. And then you're just like, dude, my fancy ass new car just got smashed. Kevin's going to be pissed.
It was more, like I said, I was very upset, but at the same time I was very excited. We had the cops over during a Twitch stream and stuff, and we had insurance calls going on. It was very exciting. It was worth the drama.
Oh, I love it. And that's a great story for the rest of your life. Even if the car, and you know what's the best is a lot of times when something like that happens, they write you a check for the car, but then if you don't get it fixed, you can just keep the check and use it for other things.
And gamble with it.
Yeah. I mean, since you don't care about belongings anyways. Okay, so Justin would like to know, do you prefer online or live?
Oh, great question. Online's my home. Online is where you really get your game going. Live there's some great live players, of course, but people who play those hundreds of thousands of hands and really, really play online against the tougher fields, I feel like that's hone your game online and then go play live. For me, I love going back and forth. I just like avoiding burnout. So 3 weeks of playing online, maybe 2 months of grinding online. It's nice to relax and just go play like the 125 at Up Reno and just breathe a little bit. So I love both, but online's definitely my focus.
So we only have about 5 more minutes with you. So
let's just extend this.
Let's just go for ages. Let's
just
keep this going.
Let's start it. Talk about.
We're making a documentary. I want to make a documentary about Big Brother too. Oh, Big Brother is a documentary, basically. Let's get serious. Okay, so I want to know a little bit though about it's been a big, I guess, year-ish for you. Actually, what are you, 25? It's been a big adult life for you so far. So what can we kind of expect this year from you? Are you really focusing on your stream? You're really focusing on your kind of poker game? What's up next? I know you guys are doing you've got a commentating gig? ?
That's right. I'm going to see Brent in Sacramento this weekend. If you're in the Sacramento area, Stone's Live Poker is hosting a week-long event. I'm going to go do some commentary there at a couple final tables. Lex is going to be there for a few. Jason's going to be there for a few. That facility is very, very beautiful, and it's incredible what they do there. So I'm excited to see you there. But 2018 is just go on. I mean, we want to get our average buy-in raised. We want to get our ROI raised. We want to make the stream more enjoyable. So just keep streaming, keep playing. Health is good. I'm down 8 pounds, Sarah, since the start of the year. At the start of the year, I was pretty chunky. It was one of the heaviest I've ever weighed. My girlfriend's a personal trainer, so she has been working out every morning. We're eating chicken breast, asparagus. Feels so good. And like I said, the results directly correlate. It's just not a joke, you guys, that I tweeted out a graph which was totally break-even bad. It's no meditation, no studying, eating unhealthy food, and it's just terrible poker. And then I tweeted out my second graph. It's this is when I've been sleeping well, meditating, studying every day. It's just a direct correlation. So very excited to continue the health journey. And 2018, just keep on going on. The community I have on my stream is amazing. They support me every single day. So excited to put out some cool shows for them. And then at the end of the year, it's going to be very exciting. 2019, start of 2019, the Poker Stars Championship, 25K in the Bahamas. I've never played a 25K before, but hopefully my game is sharp at that point. I'll still some action and go fire in my first 25K.
Oh, dang, boy. Getting that HR life going. And I appreciate how you said it in pounds for me so that I could really understand. 8 pounds. I know what 8 pounds is like. People be dropping stones and kilograms and these things. I don't know what they're talking about. Of course, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you have a ton going on, and it's really good to see you. And I feel like you should look into this commentary life because you have this really deep voice. You have this little boy face, but you have this really deep voice, and I feel like I'm really into
a little boy face.
Or is that what's
a pretty boy face?
Yeah, pretty boy. That's what I meant. I'm sorry, you guys. You know what I mean. You have dimples and stuff, but then you have a really deep voice, which also I listen to a lot of audiobooks. So if you're ever into getting on that. Oh, I wanted to let you go, but Matt asked one more question, so I just feel like I have to. He wants to know how you feel about the big blind ante format. Oh yeah, this is causing a lot of ruckus.
Amazing. If change is good. People in the poker community are very resilient to change. We did it a couple times at Up Reno. It works amazing. Whether we do the big blind ante or the button ante is up for debate because deep in some tournaments, especially in some final tables where stacks are short, to pay that big blind and then big blind ante is super painful. It's very, very costly for the big blind. But it's just change, and it's amazing. It makes it so much faster. God damn that! There's one level at live poker. It's 75 chip ante. I don't even know what the level is, but everyone has to put in 3 25 green chips. That dealer has to make change. It's just so exhausting. Anything to make the game faster and speedier. The shot clocks If we can avoid it, cool. But when you get to high stakes in poker, there are situations where wasting time makes you money. And any time you present a poker player the option to make more money, they're usually going to take it. You can't get mad at a poker player for tanking when they're making more money. So we have to design the game where tanking doesn't make you more money. Whatever that is, whether it's shock box or something, I don't know, but that needs to be addressed as well too, because live poker can get very slow. Right on Up Reno, everyone's great. It was amazing. It ran super smoothly. But I imagine in some of these live series comes up, it's just like the slow play is very painful.
It was getting really bad there for a while. I feel like hopefully we're moving away from that, but yeah, it's ugly. Well, I, of course, appreciate you taking the time. We will be stalking you all the time. You guys can stalk Kevin yourself on the Twitter if you want, at Kevin Rob Martin. At Kevin Rob Martin. Is your Twitch stream, it's twitch.tv/Kevin Martin 987.
Yeah, we're going to have to rebrand that.
Yeah, we
That's funny. There's a couple stupid numbers on there, because when I first made my Twitch number account, it was just to watch Jamie. I was like, I'm never going to Twitch stream, and then sure enough, it's a full-time job. So.
That's the worst. Yeah, my Skype name is Professor Christmas, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just never.
That's amazing.
That's actually really great. You should start streaming under that name, Professor Christmas.
I have too many. Who am I? No one even knows, but it's always so good to catch up with you. It's so good to see you just doing so well. And yeah, give big kisses, and we'll have to catch up soon. I want to know where this investigation ends up. I want prison time. Hit and run is a crime.
Prison time.
Yeah, we don't have the death penalty here in Canada, but
that's a damn shame. Deuces. Thank you guys for
you guys are the best.
Bye, Kevin. Man, Kevin cracks me up. And of course, that interview segment is brought to you by the Playground Poker Club in Montreal, which I still haven't gone to, but I cannot wait to go at some point. And what I am going to do instead, since I live in America, is play on globalpoker.com. Last week, a globalpoker.com player won over $40,000 in real cash money from a single poker tournament. Do you have what it takes to be a global poker champion? Head to globalpoker.com today and see why it is the fastest growing poker site for U.S. players. Now, there's a little piece of this show which I've been kind of trying to figure out exactly how to bring up or what to say, but I think it's really important to at least talk about it on the podcast, because for those who are in the poker media or for those who are really inundated in the poker world, I think this is something that a lot of people are going to be talking about. But former PokerNews CEO Robbie Davies passed away on Easter weekend at the age of 38, and I just wanted to personally say that he was really a cool, wild, fun, awesome person to work for when he did work for PokerNews, and he was just really a character. And Matt Parvis, who eventually took his place, I went to Matt's wedding, and me and Robbie sat next to each other at the wedding table, and his wife was pregnant with twins. He's got twin boys out there. But basically, that night, we got super housed. We had tons of fun. It's like one of my favorite memories of Robbie. And yeah, we were the outcast table. But I just wanted to put it out there and just give a little shout out. He made a big contribution to what PokerNews is now. So shout out to my boy Robbie. And I kept it all together.
Yeah,
oh
I wasn't sure.
No,
I didn't even know the guy, and I was about to tear up a little bit. So
I couldn't today. I couldn't when I saw the pictures of the boys. I couldn't. But he was awesome. So we'll just keep it moving, and we'll see you guys next week. We're not 100% sure who we're going to have on next week. I'm still trying to get the Staples brothers. Brent's trying to get Kristen, but maybe for the week after. But I can tell you guys that the week after, so 18th is next week, the weekend after, or the week after that is the 25th, and we're going to have a group of dudes who live in Texas who are like a poker house. I'm really looking forward to having those guys on the show, and we will connect you with them and all their social media. They seem really fun. I'm not sure exactly how they say it. I want to say Hasleth House. It's Hasleth. Hasleth.
Yeah, I guess that sounds right.
Hasleth House Poker. They're super cool.
Okay.
I've been kind of like engaging with all the different guys, and I'm gonna get out like little bios for all of them that they play poker. And I love the idea of just a house full of poker players. It's kind of like a fraternity, but for poker players. And yeah, I think we could all get into that. Oh, Brent, thanks. This was a long one.
Yeah.
We did it.
Jumbo, but this is good. I mean,
There's
I
a lot
think
going
it's
on.
been enjoyable. Exactly. Poker doesn't stop
No.
for us.
And be sure to let us know. I'm curious what you guys think are the most important traits of a poker player. I'm curious what you guys think about the Hpt scandal. Basically, I'm curious what my homies think about anything and everything. And if you guys see a news story, if you see someone you think we should have as a guest on the show, I always respond. I always reach out to people if you guys think they would be good. So you can hit me up at AuntyChardonnay, AUNTY Chardonnay, or Brent at Brent Harrington. You can also get at me on email, AuntyChardonnay@gmail.com. And also, you guys can leave a review on iTunes if you want and say, oh my gosh, it's the best show ever. Right?
That's it. That's all you can say. Your only option. No, I think it's super awesome. One of the things, I had my like Twitter set for a long time without actually realizing it, that I couldn't see people I didn't follow, and I added that. So it's really nice to see the interaction of people who are listening. Like somebody walked up to me and was like, oh, hey, I really like the podcast. And it's cool because like maybe now we're doing like video and stuff like that, but maybe people wouldn't necessarily even know who I am when I'm out there. So I've had the opportunity to be invisible for a while, but maybe not anymore. So I'm curious, like, what can we do better? You know, Sarah, if you have negative things, you can send them to me, and I'll filter them. That way Sarah doesn't try to hunt you down and beat you up. But
I don't do well with constructive criticism, as everyone knows. So if you have something nice to say, bring it here. If you have something mean to say,
send all the good stuff to Sarah, all the bad stuff to me, and we'll see what we can do.
All right, cool. Thanks also to our editor, Roberto Romano. We appreciate you. As always, you work very hard for us and everyone on the Poker News Podcast Network. Do says.